call the meeting of the Municipal Airport Authority to order on this Tuesday, May 28, 2024. Roll call, please.
Here.
Here. Item 1, approve the minutes of the regular meeting held May 14th, 2024. So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item 2, approve the airport vouchers totaling $182,373.75.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call, please.
Shawnee. Maybe when we get a first and a second, we should just pause and see if anyone has any questions on those items. Sometimes we talk about them before we have a motion. I don't have any questions.
All right. Anybody have any questions? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Shawnee.
Yes.
Bird.
Yes.
Oscar. Beckman.
Aye.
Aye. Item 3, approve individual vouchers A through J.
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
For Shawnee.
Yes.
Bird.
Yes.
Oscar. Beckman.
Aye.
Capitan.
Aye. Item number 4, receive April financial statement.
Anna's on, I believe. Anna, are you there?
Yes, I am here. At this point, we don't have any big changes to the financial statement. What we did was we waited for balance tax and accounting to finalize the prior month, and then we rolled forward the numbers. So no big surprises in anything right now. The only thing we're going to focus on at this next point coming up is there's a few more investments coming due, and we believe at this time we may need or may have the opportunity to reinvest those for a time period ranging between 6 months and 18 months. So we may start looking at doing that, and also having some conversations as to, like I mentioned at the prior meeting, what the fund availability would be coming in 2025, and start taking a look at what optional sources of funding may be available, if it's the extended line of credit or revenue bonds. So just starting to have those conversations with those people to get those conversations started. But that is the quick and easy update I have for this meeting.
Mr. Chairman.
John.
Tana, we're running a little above budget on revenue. Is that primarily timing, or we're almost 6 months in? Are we starting to see sort of a consistent revenue increase there? What are you feeling about that?
Well, we know that some of the timing is due to some of the expenses that maybe haven't fully come due yet that we've budgeted for early on. But revenue is tracking a little higher, and we hope it will continue tracking higher through the remainder of the year. With the short-term lot being shut down and stuff, we are kind of going to watch how parking changes within the next couple of months and what that revenue starts to look like. But that's kind of why I said we need to start taking a look at, can we start reinvesting some of these investments that are maturing, and in what time frames can we do that, assuming revenue keeps tracking as it is.
Okay. And your model, your cash flow model there that we're looking at with the growth figures, I would imagine it's too early to start changing that growth percentage and based on this revenue, but we are watching that.
Right. So right now in the model, we just have some drivers built in where we have set, these are just assumptions for the revenue. They're tracking with the budget. And at this point, we're not going to change the budget, but we're just going to track how the revenue is going with the budget, and then maybe make more or different changes in the 2026 budget or in 2025 budget based on how revenue tracked this year. But we won't adjust the actual budget numbers.
Okay. And finally, just are there any expense items that you're concerned about that are running contra to budget or?
No, I took a look at them last week and then this list that I'm looking at this morning, and everything is pretty much give or take a month with what we had penciled out for our cash forecast for the projects right now. So I don't have any concerns with those at this time either.
Okay, just one other thing, and you said you're gonna look at reinvesting at different timeframes potentially.
Mhm.
Be between what PFC and our various checking accounts, money markets.
Right. Well, some of the PFM investments that have come due in March and April, we have just let those mature and the balances have gone into the savings account. Just because we wanted to get a handle on the projects and the bids and stuff that were coming in so we could forecast those out. And now, like I said, we have a couple coming due here now in May, one more so at the end. So with those monies from those investments that we haven't reinvested, we're now looking to see if we can potentially do that for a 6 to 18-month time frame. We still want to give us a little bit of leeway. And I'm not saying that that is going to be a for sure thing either, because a couple of weeks ago, the reinvestment percentages were tracking pretty much in line with what the balance is in the savings accounts, what the interest rates are being offered in the money markets right now.
Yeah, that was one thing I noticed. I had a few people ask me why we had 29 million in checking. I don't know if we could be a little more descriptive on that money market.
Well, yeah, and I guess I can provide some more detail to it going forward. But when those investments come due, I reach out to PFM and First International Bank and say, here's the money we're looking to reinvest. What are your terms from 6 months to 18 months? Because based on the cash forecast, it's still tracking that in 18 months, potentially we're going to need some liquid cash.
Yep. Okay.
And then they come back and give me their rates. And with PFM, once you evaluate and take the fees out that they charge and the straight rates for the money markets, they're pretty much, they were within like 0.05 and 0.1%.
Yeah, no, I was more talking just the descriptive part of it. That casual observers that look at our financials will look and say, wow, you're carrying a $29 million balance in a checking account. And it's a money market. Just
It's if I can
Well,
explain, so the 29 million is a combination of two accounts. The checking account, which actually as of this morning had about $3 million in, and then the 561, the same operating funds are in an investment account. So the auditor and BTA have combined those. So you're seeing, it says checking account, I agree with you, but it's not, it's more than the checking
no,
account.
and that's what I'm saying. We
And
just
all of
need
our
some.
accounts at First International are getting the same rate, just over 5%. So every account that we have, the true money market account is the parking account 569 fund. That was set up as a money market account when First International took over. The others are just general accounts.
Any further discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Shani? Oh, sorry. We have to have a motion.
What are we
Oh.
voting on? Or we just received?
I'm sorry, I need a motion to accept the April financial statement.
For the April financial statement.
Motion been made and seconded. Roll call, please.
Prashani? Yes. Bird?
Aye.
Cosgrove? Aye. Ekman?
Aye.
Captain?
Aye. Item 5, receive communication from Roars requesting the ground lease extension. Shannon.
You want me on this side?
Yes.
All right.
Yep. Just
So it picks me up. Perfect. Morning, board members, and for those who I haven't met yet, I'm Shannon Roars Jones, here on behalf of Jim Roars and his hangar on that's over on the South GA. Just to provide an update on kind of, we've been having some communications working throughout the winter with the group from Hangar 19 and Dr. Nagel, trying to decide if this should be a larger project that includes multiple hangars. But what we've learned in the last weeks and months is that Dr. Nagel is planning on working with David Saul to redo his hangar, and so that wouldn't be included in our project. Right now, we are moving forward with a project that includes just the hangar that we bought from Jerry Ide. I think there were some civil drawings that were submitted. I don't know if everyone has those, but what we're looking at doing right now is remodeling the hangar, which will include a new door on the southwest side. And so what we're asking the board for today is just to extend the lease that we assumed from Jerry Ide for another 10 years. And we will be asking for a little more space on the southwest side where the hangar door is going, because we have to build that out a little bit to accommodate a larger door. And we are having a legal description prepared right now by Mead and Hunt, and we will get that sent over as soon as we have that available. And I don't know if there's any questions. I'm happy to answer questions if anyone has.
So Jim, the board did approve the expansion of the hangar out towards the apron, along with the addition towards the Nagel hangar some time ago. The request today is to extend the lease for 10 years.
And just one other point that I had meant to make, the additional addition that we were looking at putting on kind of the northwest side, which would be an enclosed garage that would have a number of parking stalls. We're going to hold on doing that addition right now until we see what happens with the construction between Dr. Nagel and Mr. Saul. So we may come back and ask some additional square footage on that side of the building in the future, but right now we're just asking for the space to allow for the lease extension and the space to accommodate the larger hangar door.
Questions, discussion?
But I move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded.
Yeah, so one of my disappointments is that whole area from where Group 6 is, and we have those two hangars that we own. It'd be ideal to have that fully developed all the way through to where Roars is at. And I think that Roars has worked really hard at trying to accomplish something like that, even though their personal needs for a hangar are pretty minimal. So I just want to compliment Roars for doing that. Also, I would probably even encourage them to go slow till we know exactly what's going to happen with some of those buildings in the middle, because the kicker is if someone remodels it, then we still have an old building that looks pretty tough on that side of the airport, versus if something new goes, it's going to be more expensive for the tenant or the person that's using it, which is a negative for them, but certainly helps, I think, the airport long term. So again, just no questions, kind of a
I'll just comment. I think the one of the reasons for waiting on the parking addition is so that if there is some opportunity for connection, or if Dr. Nagel does come back to the table and wants to partner with Roars versus working with Mr. Saul, I think that we're leaving a little bit of flexibility in there for future connectivity between the buildings.
I just encourage that.
I did, of course, we've seen what Mr. Berg is going to do, Mr. Roars is going to do to the hangar. It's going to look really neat. It's going to be the same color as Hangar 19 that Mr. Berg has. I did engage Jim Blotsky from Butler and Keith McGovern from RDO a few days ago about the exterior of the older Group 6 hangar, which really needs some attention. But once again, they're in decision mode on what are we going to do to Mr. Berg's point. So it needs some attention. The paint is off of it and so forth. So they may do a quick paint job on it this summer until they decide what they're going to do, but they are on notice that it's below the acceptable exterior aesthetics.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item 6, receive update from Telstra regarding parking structure.
Good morning. We last bid package on the 16th of May. It's got a lot of different things in it, so it's taking a little longer to qualify those bids. I think we're getting close. The idea will be to set the last GMP for the ramp on the next board meeting, the June 11th, I believe. We are tracking below budget again, and so we'll be encouraged, I think, when we get those prices. We're continuing to work on the Skyway. So, and
Good.
planning on still starting June 3rd, Joe, right? So,
Questions?
there's only 2 cars out there right now.
How long after the garage is completed before the Skyway can actually be made? It'll be kind of simultaneously towards the end of the construction.
I
of the
would think
garage,
it would be something like that. Yeah. That'll have a lot to do with other logistics in the airport, I think. But
Thanks, Terry.
Nothing? Oh, you were kind of,
Well.
okay.
Brandon, is that for me now?
And item 7, receive update from Eden Hunt regarding passenger terminal expansion. Oh,
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Yeah, not too much to report at this time. As you know, we're still qualifying bids. We just got all the electricals. That was kind of the last piece of the puzzle. So McGough is going through all the bids and qualifying them now. From what I understand, my conversations with Joe and Oliver, they're coming in good as far as like aligning with our budget. So there hasn't been any kind of outliers or anything like that. So that's good news. They will be coming to you in I believe the next board meeting, June 11th, with the GMP. So we'll have an update on where exactly those numbers are hitting and how they align with the budget. Schedule, you see a lot, I'm sure a lot going on that east side as they're building the temp wall, building the temp stairs over by ticketing. They got the fencing up. The elevator should be in operation now. So a lot of exciting things happening there. And then I believe we did have, and I think you should have all received an update that the groundbreaking ceremony has moved. So it's Monday, July 1st, 10 a.m., just before the 4th. That's all I have for now. A lot more to come at the June 11th board meeting. Any questions?
Do you have any renderings of how the Skyway or the Skywalk is going to transition into the current terminal?
that'd be me, Paul.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've been coordinating that on more of a overall level with Terry throughout the design process. And as Terry mentioned, that's going to happen. We have to align that with the critical path schedule of the terminal and the parking structures. So once the parking structure is at a point where we can connect, and that's going to align with, we'll want to do that during kind of a lower enplanement time of the year, so it's not too disruptive.
Any further questions?
Mr. Chairman, just do you have any other renderings for any part of the terminal? I think the open item has been the restaurant bar area. Do we have anything on that yet?
Yeah, we've talked about, so the restaurant bar area, we've given Skydine some time to try to procure some of those concessionaires. So not much is going to happen on those until we have more information on who's going to be populating those spaces.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, Brandon, could you explain to us very, very briefly? I know that there's going to be 2 kitchens with the grab and go and then the regular concessions post security. what would a grab and go consist of? Is that like a Subway, or is that, I'm just
Yes.
trying to understand what grab and go means.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. The grab and go is a much like a Subway or something. I hate to use the term fast food, but it's fast food. It's not sit down dining.
Okay.
It's like what they have now at Gate 4, where they have the pre-made sandwiches and everything there, chips.
Right. So, like, that would be different than a Subway, because Subway would need, more.
Subway's
Ovens
Not,
and-
Subway's not a grab and go,
Okay.
unless they had pre-made sandwiches put out like they do at Chili's or some of the other airports.
So then my question is, why would we need a full kitchen if it's pre-made sandwiches?
I believe it is a full kitchen.
Is it not a full kitchen?
Are you talking about the pre-secure area?
Yeah. Like, is it just refrigerators?
Yeah, that is not a full kitchen. No. There will be like just supporting prep like prep appliances, and that's it.
Okay.
Any further questions?
And then, Mr. Chairman, do you have any renderings of baggage claim?
Did we not? I thought we had some images. We didn't send those out to you. Okay, I'm sorry. We do have those. I'll pull those together, Paul. I know you had asked for those earlier. I thought we had sent those out. I'll get them.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anything further? If not, we'll move on. Receive update from Eden Hunt regarding airfield projects.
Jeff Klein.
All right, I'll just mention on the terminal itself, there are 2 grant applications in right now. There's one acronym overload here. There's a AIG application that's in. I forget exactly how much that was for. I want to say it's around $10 million. There's another $10 million AIP grant application that went in. And then once McGough finalizes their GMP for this recent bid package, there'll be another ATP grant application for another $10 million that's going in. That was the competitive funding that was awarded to the airport. So money will start rolling in here. It's just a process thing with FAA to get those grants taken care of. I will mention that Northern Improvement finished this road relocation here a few weeks ago. This South Perimeter Road now the taxiway. They literally got the barricades pulled down and it started raining. And so it was great timing. That the unfortunate part is they were immediately going to go up to finish the apron and roadway project at Fargo Jet Center, and it's been too wet. So they haven't committed to any time yet, but I would suspect that they would start within the next few weeks. So once things dry out. You approved today the final payment on passenger boarding bridge number 4. Arrow did complete all the punch list work, so that's taken care of. Let's see what else. I haven't received any update from Sun Electric on the Volt project yet. I know they're just waiting for some equipment. I haven't gotten a start date on that. So yeah, that's lots going on, I guess. So
Questions? Thank you very much.
thank you.
Item 9, discuss adding donation of annual leave policy to the employee handbook.
Megan is here from Pro, but when we were under the city's guidance, there was a policy that allowed for employees to donate annual leave to a fellow employee if there was an illness or they ran out of time for whatever reason. And we're in that situation now with one of our employees that maybe it's time to probably adopt this policy here and allow for employees as they desire to donate that person some time so that they get through their treatments and so forth. So,
Like I said, John had sent me this policy. This is what the city of Fargo had previously, so I think it's good that it's what the current employees are used to. I see no issues with moving forward and putting it in the handbook and making it effective.
So if the employee in question, and let's say they're making $18 an hour, and an employee that's donating time is making $36 an hour, that would be 2 hours. So it's still hour for hour. Never mind. I'm sorry. They used to value that differently, but so it is hour for hour. Never mind.
So would the employee receiving the benefits that typically makes $18 an hour then be getting the $36 an hour that's donated?
Just hour for hour.
Hour
It's
for
hour
hour.
for hour.
Based. So it's not a matter of payment, it's a matter of receiving.
So I don't know if you have any questions on that, or if you want to approve that, then Pro would update our employee handbook.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Yes.
The next item, Joe.
Oh, item 10, continued discussion with Pro Resources regarding performance evaluation.
Yes, so if you guys remember, I believe it was back in November, we met in 23 to discuss the pros and cons of a more formal performance review process. Right now, the airport just kind of does daily feedback. So I just had typed up some things that we had talked about before related to more structured, formal evaluations that the supervisor does with the employee, or if the employee wants to do like a self-evaluation and then provide that to their supervisor. So just some pros and cons. And then again, at the end of the sheet, the continuous feedback, which is what the board or what supervisors are doing right now, which seems to be working. The employees are enjoying that. On the back page, I just kind of included, it might be a little bit harder to see when it's printed in color, but just kind of saying how the continual check-in is a good development process for the employee. You know, if something's not going right, it's caught right away versus waiting until that annual meeting. And then again, on the back at the bottom, back in November, I had met with 3 supervisors and just got some of their input and feedback based on what is going on right now, if their employees like it, if they like the process. So I just included that feedback again from the supervisors for you guys to review.
Okay, questions?
Just I think if I'm correct, back when we separated from the city, then we contracted with you to provide those HR services and different things like that.
Yeah.
I guess from my perspective, and this has nothing to do with you or Pro Resources, but I'd like to know when we're contracting with a third party, what exactly is your role? So we know that these things are covered or not covered.
Yeah.
And then kind of also what is the term of your contract with us? And so that we're reviewing that when that comes up and, you know, just making sure that we're on the same boat going forward.
So in terms of HR services, I'm as involved as they want me to be. So I would say recently, with like the employee going on FMLA, a couple other different leaves of absences, I've been pretty engaged again with like the PTO donation and stuff like that. So it's to kind of answer your question.
So maybe what I'm asking for you is just put something down in writing so
Okay.
we know
Yeah.
here's what your responsibilities are. So we know that, and then just any of the high level parts of our contract with you.
Yeah, I can get that for you guys.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman. Also, Megan, when you were here on November 16th,
Yep.
We discussed employee recognition.
Yeah.
Or is there anything else that we never moved forward on that? I mean, we've discussed it, but how can we make sure that our employees know that they're recognized and appreciated? And we
So I think
talked about like,
gift cards, or like
cards
the
or-
sign or something, right?
yeah. So has anything been, do you have any other ideas or any way that you can use your HR background?
I mean, I guess that's a conversation I think we could continue to have, just regardless if you guys want, like, if there's a budget with it, you know, like gift cards, so we're giving out $100 gift cards, $25 gift cards. So, yeah, I mean, if that's a program that they want to move forward with, happy to help develop that and kind of see, like, is that something that, you know, Sean would be responsible for, or each manager at their own level, and kind of what department they run. So just spelling that out, I think, would be important. So there's some guidelines, and it's not always the same employee that's being recognized and no one else is, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, how would you like to proceed with that? Would you like a motion or?
Yeah, maybe we should have a motion on either adopting that policy or not. And is it, would that have to be a line item for like
Well,
gift cards, a separate
the consensus of the board at that time, the verbal discussion is not to do gift cards, just because of the monetary value. If you've changed your mind, I guess let Jonah and I know. But there wasn't any consensus to move forward with gift cards.
Maybe the first step would be to create, what are we gonna do for employee appreciation? Rather than decide if it's gift cards, flowers, time off, whatever, maybe a motion would be just that we,
Study it.
yeah, or get input on how we can create a employee appreciation. And I think with your assistance, so we're, again, I can see how a good idea sometimes has inadvertent consequences, and we don't want some employees upset because we're congratulating some employees. So
We do a number of events already, thanks to Joan and her leadership with doing that. So we have Subway Days, there's a end of winter celebration that'll come up here. We're gonna have a breakfast. So I mean, we're doing things with the employees that you're probably not aware of, but we're doing a bunch of those right now. And it's tough with employees working split shifts. We have to have someone in the fire station all the time. So I mean, not all of them can participate just based on when we do it, but we get as many as we can, donuts, whatever. But we're doing a lot, and I guess.
So for instance, I'm sorry,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman. So for instance, the new QR code that I see that says, feedback for the airport, do you get any shout outs to or kudos for employee comments
I don't know if
on
we've seen
that?
anything.
On what was that?
The QR code.
That new QR code survey?
It's a lot of it just questions, or it hasn't been very many, I'll tell you that, over
Okay.
about
For
6 months
instance,
now.
people contact me and say, wow, we were stuck at the airport and the bartender was fantastic, or, there's people will reach out to me occasionally and say,
Yeah.
I had
We had
terrific
one like
service.
2 weeks ago, as a United employee on a delayed flight, and somebody had put in that, the agent was great, and then I forwarded that to the, he's not here, Rich with United, so he was gonna recognize that employee with their company, so.
I think you have to define, I mean, the road you're going down now is a little bit different. So if you want to recognize the airport authority employees, the ones that we're responsible for, versus the Delta ticket agent or the United ticket agent or the bartender, that's a little bit different. Like Darren said, we pass those comments on to their supervisors. But to give the airport authority to give a non-employee a gift card, that's probably a little tough. And I think that was the discussion that we had before. I mean, for our employees is one thing, for the other employees in the terminal, TSA or parking, whatever it is, that's a whole different conversation. And the High Flyer Award was adopted by the board some time ago for that purpose. Tammy Lynn put that forth, and so there is a mechanism in place to recognize those employees, and it was the High Flyer Award that the board approved that some time ago. So, I mean, that could be used. It's there.
Okay. We're in the customer service business, and I think a lot of our employees go above and beyond on a regular basis. It's just nice to be able to say thank you and recognize.
People with Honor Flight couldn't say enough good things about everything that happened in the airport for the last one here last week, so it worked out really well.
And then, Mr. Chairman, how we've been talking about the employee review for quite some time. It'd be nice to just make a decision one way or the other if we're going to implement anything or.
Right, Mr. Chairman, that would be my question here is we've kind of danced around this. We've heard reasons for and against employee reviews. Your recommendation at this point is what?
I mean, I think based on what they're doing right now, the feedback has been good. Like I said, in exit interviews, all the feedback has been great. Based on me meeting with the supervisors, they like what they're doing right now. I think if it's working, we don't need to change. That's not my decision ultimately.
Megan, Mr. Chairman, Megan, what does the city do? Do they have employee reviews?
I'm not familiar with the city of Fargo. They're one of our clients, so I don't. Sean, do you know if they?
I'm a former 42-year employee of the city of Fargo, and they had reviews, which I don't remember ever having to go through one. But they had a probationary review, and your supervisor said, "You're doing a good job. Keep it up." And yearly review was, "You're doing a good job. Keep it up." That was the extent of the city employee reviews. I think the county does it a little more in depth. And they go through the HR person and sit down but I don't, as a commissioner, I'm not involved in any of that, nor should I be. But I think they do a little bit more in depth and doing a good job. Keep it up. But
What are we doing now? Just maybe refresh our.
I think it's just the day-to-day feedback, like constant, like, hey, you're doing a good job, or if there is an
There's
issue, it's
no
addressed
annual
right away.
review or quarterly review.
No goal setting.
No.
Continuous performance evaluation, that's, the board did that, I think it goes back to Dick Henches, former Mayor Henches, way back when, just a continuous review. It's timely, employees like it, have always liked it.
That way, there's issues that are addressed immediately versus, again, waiting for them to pile up and then employees are surprised in the annual review. So just that constant feedback.
Some companies call it like a career consultation, where they talk about how they can advance or additional training, or it doesn't always have to be a negative. It can be a positive.
Absolutely.
Is there any action, Mr. Chairman, that the
I don't think
board?
there's any action needed.
Well, I'm just wondering, and maybe we can see the write-ups and I don't want to look at individual reviews, but start to understand what the formal paper trail and write-up is. Is this just verbal, or if you're looking for employee improvement plans, how does that all work in with this type of just informal?
I think there's a continual problem. We would have a paper trail because we would be physically meeting with the employee with a written discipline form, or maybe it's a performance improvement plan. So that would be more formal. And yes, we would have written documentation, especially if it went to the case where we needed to go to a termination. We would need to make sure we have documentation on all that.
Corrective action is always documented, anything with discipline. The others is, you're doing a great job, do it. Question, you engage the employee, see what questions they have, see what needs that they have, and go from there.
Well, and you pointed out some of the pros and cons, and poorly done performance reviews are always a problem. But as we're seeing times of trying to keep employees engaged, I believe that there can be positives from employee reviews. And our payroll structure is set up with the step increases that is assuming progress and proficiency and efficiency being achieved each year. And that kind of, without here are your goals, here's the things you have to do, and this gets you a step increase. When you take that away from it, it becomes a longevity increase. And that's, what I would like to see the employees rewarded. The other, as Paula pointed out, is simply checking in with employees that are saying, you're doing a great job. Are you happy? Are you looking to, other positions? Are you looking to expand? How can we work with you to keep you engaged and part of the airport? So I'm just not seeing in my time here that we have a real formalized process. I think it's beneficial to the employees to know where they stand. And the form you provided seems somewhat reasonable.
I'm having a problem hearing what you're saying, but what are you looking for?
Well, I would like us to take a look at what we're doing right now. We do have a form and the ability to put a little structure around the review for all employees and to work in that manner. And that's what was presented here, was a sample. Now, if you want to refer it back to staff and the managers to look at and say, we don't think this would work or whatever, we can certainly do that. This has just kind of been kicked down the road here since last November.
Well, I personally think it's a staff issue myself. It always has been. That's the way it is in the city. That's the way it is in the county. And if the individual is doing a good job, you're doing a good job. But if there's some disciplinary actions taken, that gets logged in and put in a personnel file. But all the accolades, I don't think ever do get put in the personnel file unless it's something extraordinary.
Well, that would be the reviews would allow for that.
Well, yeah, and I think they do that basically. I don't know that there's a review like this isn't done, is it? The annual performance review form.
Mhm.
I've never had to do that for anybody.
Mr. Chair, and board, and we may discuss this when we're speaking about governance, but a lot of boards will have a compensation committee for our administration or executive director, and I don't know how we're handling that currently. And would that be under pro resources or under governance?
I mean, I think there's a lot of issues here that things seem to be working fine as is. Having said that, though, I don't think we need a motion right now. Just kind of be aware of what we're talking about. Hopefully, you can come back and bring us some things on. Here's a good program for employee recognition. Here's kind of your responsibilities, our responsibilities. And I think at some point it would be good because I do personally feel that some sort of evaluations good for the employees because it boosts them. I'm not thinking it all is negative. I think it's real positive. And again, the private sector is different than the public sector. I totally get that. But I think it would be good to kind of keep thinking about this. And as we roll forward, we may make some different decisions based on where we're going. So I guess, again, I think this is a real healthy and good discussion, but I don't know if we need motion.
I don't either. But to address your compensation thing, that's done on a budget deal. When he prepares a budget, and we do follow the city's payroll type of thing. If they give a 2% raise, usually the airport will probably go along with the 2% raise.
The
But to
compensation.
give somebody a compensation boost in the middle during the year or whatever, you're following up the whole structure then. Because they do have a step increase on a yearly basis.
Until you max out at step 11, then your only raise is a cost of
Yeah,
living.
then
So all of the employee pay scales were approved by the boards going back for decades. That's what's followed. And what we are ready to do, and we'll be chatting with Megan about, this goes back to when the position evaluation committee met, was to go out and do another market study. We're due for that for the firefighters. They were first, and then the other employees. Airfield, some you can get local things and others. So the board had always used ADK for that in the past to do that, but we're due for another market study again, just based on the time frame from before.
And I don't know who the city uses or who the airport uses for after they get to a point for salary increases or whatever. County goes to Gallagher and say, okay, we've got positions here that we think are not up to par. Take a study, and they'll do a study and refer back to the county or whoever as to this is where we think this individual or this group of individuals lie. But we don't give them an increase in salary for doing a good job. Stay in their lane type of thing for an annual boost up until step 11 for the city or for the county or for here. County has they did have 19 steps. Finally got that down to 12. Because it was ridiculous having 19 steps. So, is there any further discussion?
I had one more quick question, if you'll allow me.
Yeah.
I know that we've struggled with getting heavy equipment operators and that type of thing. Does Pro Resources assist with that? That goes back to probably what the scope of your duties are.
Yes and no. It depends on like we'll help post job openings, we'll help with job descriptions and all that stuff, but we're not a recruiting firm, so we're not actually out there actively recruiting employees on your guys' behalf.
So they did a market study for mechanics and equipment operators, and the board did approve that, so there was an adjustment some time ago.
Okay.
We'll probably be forced to make another adjustment here in the not too distant future. That's why we probably need another market study, probably starting this summer or this fall, going forward into 2025.
Have we done that in conjunction with the city in the past?
You know, the only positions that you could is probably for the building attendants and our equipment operators. The other positions for myself, Darren, Jordan.
I'm just, I'm wondering, because
They
those
have-
happen every 2, 3, 4 years. It could be,
They
we could
do-
include these positions with that study
They
and
do
see if we
share
can
those.
save a little money.
They do share some of that information, but yet our equipment operators are much different than the others because of the airfield lighting, all the other things that we do. So it's not quite an apples to apples comparison when they go out and get an equipment operator that operates at a city or a county versus an airport. It's a lot different. So we can use it. Mechanics are pretty common. Building attendants, custodians are pretty common, but for some of the other positions, their study doesn't always include airport information, because when they reach out to the city of Sioux Falls, they get nothing from the airport. Because they have nothing to do with each other. So, and that we found that often over the years. They would contact a city, but then the airport was separate, so you wouldn't get any data.
So Rick, you just want to kind of let this go. The other question we've got on performance reviews is that it kicks up to management, and then who does management performance reviews?
Who would do them?
Yes.
Probably Sean as the executive.
Okay. And then Sean is reviewed by the board, or?
Correct.
Okay. So that's an undertaking we have to initiate at the board level.
At 1 in 33 years, I think.
Okay.
I'll give a buck.
That's $5.
Oh, 5 now. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you for
your
coming,
time.
Megan.
Absolutely, thank you.
Okay, Chief, your emergency exercise summary.
Yeah, good morning. So last Tuesday, we conducted our FAA-required triennial full-scale disaster drill. Our drill consisted of simulated airplane crash on the airfield. We were fortunate enough to actually have a C-130 fly-in that we were able to use for this exercise. We had numerous volunteer victims that we moulaged, and in conjunction with our drill, the hospitals did their surge drill. So we did transporting of patients to local hospitals, and then we also had the North Dakota Air National Guard doing their portion of the drill as well. So overall, the communication has always been one of our biggest issues. Ever since we purchased our new radios, that has been resolved. So I feel the drill went really well. So.
There, I think.
I was in attendance. As a former first responder, I was very impressed. I thought you really did a great job, and just I've never seen so many Leos in one place at one time.
Well, thank you.
Okay, very good. Good job. Item 12, form a subcommittee on governance. Mr. Berg.
Okay. One of the things, I'm going to just give an explanation, I'll make a motion. But I think one of the things that would be helpful would be to kind of have a subcommittee. When we talk, there's been several situations where we've used kind of a subcommittee to pull some things together to bring them to the board, so we're not necessarily debating everything on the board's time. And so kind of I'll make a motion if someone wants a second, then we can discuss it. But I would move that we form a subcommittee of two, Dean and myself, to explore the governance options and bring a recommendation to this board.
Okay, there's been a motion.
I second.
Motion been made and seconded. Discussion.
Mr. Chair, so one thing I do want to point out, when an authority or political subdivision appoints a subcommittee, that's considered a quorum. And so notice needs to be given and it needs to be open to the public.
Is that just, so if the subcommittee only has 2 members though, that's still the case?
Correct.
Stacy, is there a nuance to that as to the decision-making authority of the subcommittee?
So there can be a nuance there, but I wanted to just mention that at the outset as sort of the overlying.
But there is
factor.
a workaround as long as the subcommittee does not
And it-
have
decision-making
power.
And so that's why we just wanted to mention at the outset.
Sure.
And then what is the power of the committee going to be, subcommittee going to be?
So
You'd be making
yeah,
recommendations.
no, I mean, the subcommittee's not gonna make any recommendations, and I don't have a problem if we notify the press every step of the way. But I think the goal would be to bring a recommendation here and have this committee debated, and so the decision is made here. So I guess I would, maybe if we pass this motion, we should probably have you look into that, make sure that we're appropriate.
I just wanted to start with the first step and then I'll go the second step to ensure what the responsibilities can be.
And I'm more than happy to get a hold of Attorney General and have them take a look at this. I mean, I think,
There's opinions out there.
what's that?
There should be opinions out there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not-
get something from them, and we obviously want to follow the law, whatever the law is, but.
And these are not, we aren't looking at standing committees, we're looking at ad hoc committees to deal with governance, make recommendation board, gather information. So I do think you've got a workaround there. When I've served on subcommittees or ad hoc committees in the city, we were always open if somebody wanted to attend the meeting, but as long as there wasn't that decision making, that was key.
So I'll do the second step of the analysis, but I'm always open for meetings being open.
Absolutely.
Sure.
100%. Dean, do you have any comments?
No, and I think you're framing it right as an only recommendation, no decision-making authority or anything like that. It's a study group, basically.
Okay, there's been a motion made and seconded.
Mr. Chairman, I have a quick question. So, what is the difference then? Forgive me. We have had parking committees and finance committees and marketing committee that don't require a formal notice. And so is the governance subcommittee something different than, say, like what you?
I would see it as no different than any of those we've worked through. But I think at the same time, it's important to look at the law and make sure that we're
Okay,
doing the thing right.
okay.
Okay,
Sorry.
I'm gonna call for a roll call vote on that, please.
Who seconded that, please?
I did.
Roll call.
Shawnee?
Abstain simply because we'd be on
Well, if I abstain too.
there's still 3 votes.
Okay. I'll abstain too.
Cosgrove?
Aye.
Heckman?
Aye.
Heffernan?
Aye. Motion carried. Item 13, discuss request for proposals for economic impact study of the airport. Mr. Berg.
So
Excuse me, what about the fourth, agenda number 14?
We haven't got there yet.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm ahead of myself.
So I would move to identify someone or an entity that could help with our own impact study for Hector Airport. So that'll be my motion. And the reason I say that, these are some of the takeaways that I got from Sioux Falls. We've got $90 million left to raise for our airport. And so one is we need to make a pitch to the legislature, and also I think we need to continue to make a pitch to the Congress through our leaders. And I think every year, and Sean, you sent me this was been what I think the FAA has done.
This is what the Aeronautics Commission
The Aeronautics
and they're
Commission has
doing
done.
one again now.
So my concern is, so this is what we've got. This is what I got from South Dakota. So the difference is Aeronautics is pitching all the airports in North Dakota. And I think we need to put our own impact here for Hector. And so I don't know who that would be, but I think we take the aeronautic stuff and, you know, I know there's, anyway, I just feel we need more meat to present to the legislature.
That is Fargo only. So what every single airport gets its own brochure and data. Here would be is that we hire a firm and then the data is different than what the state puts out.
No, I would say we have a firm that builds on this. I mean, again, this is 2015. This is 9 years ago. I think we need to have, and I'm not, we're trying to raise 90 million bucks. So I'm not saying this is negative, but how can we build from this and have someone say, you know what, Bell Bank is one of the top 5 family-owned banks in the country, and they're using aviation. Shields is one of the top, and they're using it. So what is that impact beyond what the aeronautics is doing? You know, because they're trying to balance everyone. So I'm just again, I'm concerned about raising the money that we need to raise. And if we have a third party that comes in for a few $1,000s or whatever and enhances this, I think that just helps us make our case.
So are you okay with the study that the Aeronautics Commission is going to start in July?
Yeah,
and to
100%.
get the data and then just find that person to enhance it.
Yeah. I'm saying, how do we don't want to disrupt that, but the legislative session is really 6 months away. And really those budgets are being put together the next 3-4 months. So how can we, and we don't want to piss, you know, we're a team with all the other airports, right? We support expansion in Dixonson, Williston, and Bismarck, and these other airports. So we want to be part of that team effort.
So I engaged Kyle Warner from the Aeronautics Commission on this, and he believes because of the request that Fargo, Grand Forks, and Dickinson is going to have to the legislature, in fact, we meet this Thursday with the Aeronautics Commission in the governor's office, is to try and get the contractor to get ours done before the first of the year. So maybe sometime fourth quarter of 2024, then we can have that firm go in and enhance like what you're saying. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, and I'm not saying we have, I guess I'm just concerned about getting our ducks in a row so we have a bunch of ammo so we can make our case. And so I think, you know, maybe maybe the motion would be more along those lines, is that, you know, what can we do to enhance the value of our airport as it relates to presenting it to the legislature or Congress or whatever. So maybe we don't need a motion, but maybe the staff could put that together.
Yeah, I think working with Flint and then Joe Raso with the EDC, maybe Shanna with the chamber, is to put together some of those points that you're talking about. I think that's a good idea. So
Well, I think there's some, I would say that there's some meat deeper than that. It's like, you know, when they do a impact study, you know, what's the group at India Shoe that does a lot of that? AggiCon. Yeah. I mean, that might be worth having them take what we have and digging a little bit deeper. So it's, again, that second, third job impact in North Dakota. But
So if you've got an idea, Rick, of those things that you think would enhance it, just kind of give us a list, so kind of a starting point, so we don't miss something that you're thinking of. And enhance it. I mean, what have you seen in others that you think would be good for ours? That would be the question.
yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking. Keep thinking, what's the legislator thinking about? And what do they want? How do we pitch it to them?
And you want to go before the legislature?
Well, I think we're going to have
We
to.
will be, yeah. No, we
Yeah.
will be. And they're also going to be scheduling regional meetings in Fargo, Grand Forks, and Dickinson to talk about the 120 million. Like I say, that gets kicked off this Thursday at 1 o'clock in Bismarck.
Yeah, I think
That's this Thursday in Bismarck?
Yeah. So just myself, Grand Forks, Dickinson, and Kyle Warner. Been inviting, I think, Tom Schauer to meet with the governor's staff, maybe the governor, lieutenant governor, to talk about.
you know, maybe just stepping back is maybe just moving to identify who can help us build our economic study for the legislature. So I'll just put that on the staff, is to identify entities, people that can help us fine tune our impact study.
So you want to withdraw your initial motion?
I'll make this
and
motion.
add this
Yep.
one.
Yep.
Do you need a second?
Yep.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Now, is it this Thursday in Bismarck? Is it requested that anybody from the board go?
So
or-
3 directors, Tom and the governor's
Okay.
staff.
All right. Sounds good to me. 14, discuss evaluation of adding a hotel to the airport. Oh, this goes way back.
Well, I'll make it simple. So I'll make a motion, but I would move that, we engage Mead and Hunt to just put a preliminary site plan together on a hotel footprint. So that'd be my motion. I would just move that Mead and Hunt put a preliminary site plan together for an attached hotel.
For an attached
hotel.
Okay, the motion's
I
been
second.
made. Second? Did you second, Paul?
I did.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion.
In discussion, I was blown away when we were down in Sioux Falls, and they've got a 72-unit hotel that's attached to the airport. And they indicate it's by the clubhouse who has a hotel here. And I know there's all kinds of obstacles to this, but kind of my thinking is if we're trying to expand our reach for the Hector Airport, if we can get people from Grand Forks that come and stay overnight, or Devil's Lake, or Jamestown, or Minnesota for an early flight, I think that's really powerful. And what they said that I thought was interesting was they had to have it attached. Otherwise, it's no different than all the other hotels we have around. So I don't know if it's possible or not, but I think that would be, in my thinking, the first step would be to say, where would we put it if we're going to put it? And then does that work or not? If that doesn't work, we can just move on. But if that works, then I think we can go into a process of saying, okay, well, do an RFP for hotel developers and see if they have an interest. But yeah, I mean, I've never always looked at these big hotels or big airports you fly into that have these big fancy hotels. I never even thought that we'd be in that league, but I think we might be.
So just a little history. So Ace Brandt did 3 studies of a hotel at the airport before he passed away. Jerry Dean, who has Midwest Development Construction from Lexa, Kansas, that does our FedEx stuff, he also did a study. And then there was one with Laura Smallbert and one of the Leslies that did one. None of them ever panned out. Maybe it's time again. Never know.
Well, I don't see us owning this,
No.
so
No.
we wouldn't have risk per se.
Way back in the 80s, I approached Gary Tharlson and the same thing because we had a lot of vacant land out there. And then NDSU was starting they were talking about the dome and all that other stuff and going up. And there was something like 300 people coming to NDSU on a daily basis through research and whatever. And a hotel would be a perfect idea. Couldn't get Tharlson or any the Wolves, none of them. They just kind of looked at you and said, "Really?" Nobody would bite. But I agree. I think a hotel would be good.
So I'm just asking your motion, do you set a dollar limit for their time?
What?
I have no idea what it's going to cost.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about that, but I don't think it's a full engineering deal. I mean, I think it's basically finding out what the site footprint is in Sioux Falls and saying, okay, where could we attach that if we're going to attach it? And, I'm thinking, maybe that's a good question. What are you thinking, Jeff?
All I saw got big when you brought it up.
I'm just talking off the top of my head, but I think the only realistic site is put on the west side of the terminal. I don't know if there's a whole lot of options, that are attached to the current facility.
And I think the question for you is just doing something preliminary like that. What are we talking cost-wise? Can you give us a range?
Honestly, I really don't know. $5,000. I mean, it should be pretty minimal.
We can talk about that, but yeah, we're not looking for a full-blown site engineered plan. Just so someone can say, okay, it could work. Here's how it would tie in.
Right.
And then I think the key is anyone interested? If they're not, they're not.
Correct.
You might also consider the ramp. I know Terry laughed, but that could be
Putting it adjacent to the ramp.
as part of the ramp.
Oh.
There are hotels that are built right into the ramp, and then you have your connectivity through the walkway and everything else.
I'll get with the group and put our thoughts together.
Yeah. What I think what we're looking for is where we would have something we could give to some potential hotel developers and say, would you be interested? And obviously there's a lot more engineering work that needs to be done. And then I think the key is if you get two people that are interested, then it's kind of a viable thing.
I think, historically it's always been looked at down, there's a field south of the radar tower, it's not connected. That's what's been looked at.
So that was the one
Connectivity
thing that
was-
I walked away from Sioux Falls. It's got to be attached. If it's not attached, it's the same. You're getting in your car in the morning. You're
Yeah.
driving to the airport. It's winter. Da 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 da. This is you're waking up in the morning in an attached hotel, putting your shorts on and your beach clothes, and wheeling your bag over to check through.
Just extend the skywalk. Set it south across. Yeah, could do that. Change order for Terry.
Anyway,
Well, and boardings are up, and I mean, we have a different atmosphere at the airport than we did 5 or 10 or 20 years ago. So maybe there is and we are a regional airport, so I can see value for those passengers traveling, for instance, from Detroit Lakes, where the roads can be rough and people don't want to miss their trip. And I know, to your point, Rick, when the hotel at the Minneapolis airport, when that Skyway was closed and security was blocked through COVID, I was like, why bother to stay at that hotel? We can stay somewhere else, right?
Sure.
Like it lost the appeal to pay a little bit more premium because I couldn't just wear those flip-flops and walk across the Skyway. So I agree with you.
Question.
Yep, so with Unify or Delta in front here, but on ours, I'm going to Sioux Falls Airport too. I mean, it's small, pretty basic hotel and attached. I would agree with that. For parking and those things, you could put on, south side or across from the ramp, just for convenience. Because if people are going to come the night before for a 5 a.m. flight, they're probably going to come late. They don't need anything special, but they want to have park there so they don't have to drive anywhere. Other things that we run into, if there is an impending blizzard, we will house some employees at local airports. So from our side, maybe a few rooms here and there would be used, or just if it's a long day, diversions. How many times have we had a couple hundred people just sitting at the airport because there's no room for other hotels? Just some of those things, but that goes into the attached and accessibility portion. If you got a diversion from San Francisco, they're not from around here. They're not going to have people they can stay with. They're not local, so they would have to have some place they could access. And not everybody has shuttles anymore, or is readily available shuttles. Even in big cities that you're at now, a handful of hotels do have regular around-the-clock shuttles. A lot are still, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. and that's it. So that's just kind of my 2 cents on it. I like the idea of it. I don't know how big, how many rooms is going to be profitable, or at least, a push. But there's times that it would be nice to have something on site.
Thanks for your input.
Yeah.
Any further questions or discussion? That was a motion, right? And you seconded it.
Correct.
And that directs me not to.
do a preliminary
Yep.
site plan.
Okay.
Now, it's not part of the motion, but I'd look at the Sioux Falls site plan. They have 72 units or rooms in Sioux Falls, and what's that square footage there?
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, discuss request for proposals for an advertising partner for the airport, Mr. Bird.
Okay, this is kind of something we've all struggled with, and I've really racked my brain and trying to figure out how we bring this to conclusion. Is we have advertising down in the baggage area with Clear Channel. We've got kind of other streams throughout our airport. We've been talking about sponsorships. Are there people that would sponsor some things that would be good for us to have them sponsor things? And then we've talked about the art. And I think as I think about this, and after I went down to Sioux Falls, all of this should be viewed through the same lens. We have someone advertising here and someone doing art here. It has to be kind of melded together. So I've just been thinking that, Mead and Hunt, Brandon, I don't know if he's still on, but he's our tenant rep. He's the person that's driving this project. Him and Gina are doing these things. And I think, what I'd like to do is just make it clear that I think a couple of things. One is I think we should do an RFP for someone to handle our advertising going forward. I don't know who that would be, but I think we should do that. And I also think that Brandon should be kind of charged with these 4 buckets, and so he can put that together for us.
Brandon's not on anymore either.
Gina's on.
Gina's on.
I'm on.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, sorry to throw that at you, Gina, but I think we need someone to pull these 4 things together.
Okay. So you're looking at somebody to pull together and coordinate like artwork, the advertising,
and sponsorships.
Okay.
That's a freebie.
Yeah.
The sponsorships?
No, your end of it.
All right. Yeah, we can put together a scope and start there, Rick. Would that work?
Yeah, I think so. I look at the next 2 items on our agenda too, and I think they're somewhat can all come together in one. And if you feel that it would be helpful to have a art expert like the person we met,
Ivy
that would be someone that you could hire. But rather than us doing these things bits and pieces, I think it would be really helpful to have you coordinate all these visuals.
Sure.
I guess that's what I'd like to see happen. So maybe that would be my motion. And I don't even know if we need this motion, but my motion would be that, you would coordinate the advertising, the art, and the sponsorships for the new terminal, and for terminal and parking ramp, I guess.
Okay.
Okay. As long as you made the motion, is there a second?
I second. And
Discussion.
thank you so much,
ahead.
Mr. Chairman. Brandon, as we kind of formulate this plan, also, so do we need an RFP for Ivy or for Olin Consulting? Or is that something that you, Brandon, Gina do? I know that there was the conversation.
Yeah, sorry, I was that's what I was thinking, Paula, is that we would probably reach out to Olin as part of our proposal and just have them work with us and contract it, just to keep it simple for you guys.
Okay. I think there's also a lot of value, like when Ivy was doing her presentation and talking about the playroom and kind of making sure that there was more interactive opportunities for a variety of ages. I think that would be also a bonus that's not really covered in these 3 items.
Yeah, I was not impressed with Sioux Falls play area. You saw that too, didn't you?
I saw it there. I know there was like safe climbing opportunities. There was some there was like binoculars where you can look out at the airfield. There currently, I think there's only one climbing thing, Gina, if you correct me if I'm wrong, and an 85-inch TV. So I think there's more opportunity for us to appeal to a wider range of children.
Okay, yeah, we can certainly roll that into the scope. So I can put something together for that and send over a draft to Sean first. Does that work?
Yeah, sure. You can do it accept it at the next meeting too.
My goal is at the end of the day, we want to step in the terminal and we want to go, wow, it's nice. And so all these pieces need to come together and be worked together. And I think Brandon, as you reach out to individual board members, when you reach out to them, they're not board members at that point. They're just giving input and giving ideas. I think you need to bring those decisions to the board, and then we'll make any final decisions that need to be made. But I encourage board members to help. But again, we're not have our board hat on. Just like we're talking about our subcommittee, we're not making decisions for the board.
And Mr. Chairman and Mr. Berg, so Brandon, if you were, for instance, to put together a listening committee, then maybe we could involve more entities like community partners or community roundtable for more feedback.
My goal
so there's more
for
transparency.
Brandon and Gina to figure out what they need, and then support them.
Mr. Chairman, Rick, the other thing was on Sioux Falls was sponsorship potential for a business center.
I think all that's part of this motion.
That would be part of this also.
Yep. Yeah.
So, Brandon, I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah.
Was able to do a business center. Again, nice app.
Sure. Yeah. We can explore that as well.
Okay, there is a motion and a second.
That is a big motion.
Christy with Unified Delta and Frontier here. Just on the art aspect, my husband is an artist actually, and I would love to see more art in this airport. I think that there's a lot of opportunities to showcase a lot of local artwork. There's also a lot of opportunities to use art for the holiday season. There's nothing here, and holiday seasons, people are traveling. No matter what your religion is, a Christmas tree, a candy cane display, or whatever makes you happy. And that's just my 2 cents. I would just love to see more art in here, and I think there's a huge opportunity for more local art.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your input. And
all right. Okay. No, Paul.
I might just concur with you on the holiday thing. I think we could do more for the holidays, for the Christmas season when traveling is up, and I do notice that most of the airports I go to have holiday displays.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Now, do you think we discussed 15 and 16 together?
Yeah, I think that covered 16 unless Paula has any more comments.
The only comment I have was when we were in Sioux Falls, they said that they had formed an art committee. And when I know that, like, for instance, the Minneapolis airport has a art commission, and we have some very talented artists in our community that could maybe help guide us along with Ivy. That's all. I don't know how that would look. I just thought it would be helpful to discuss it or just put it out there as a possibility as we enter into our construction phase.
Yeah. I don't know.
And we could probably table that until we get a little further.
Yeah, I think
with Ivy and Gina and Brandon.
I don't know if we need to table it. I mean, I think hopefully that's part of what Brandon and Gina are gonna do. You know, and my take is, I can't tell art at all. And I know we always had art contests in Capitol, and every state had artists that displayed. If you ever walked the tunnels in the Capitol, some are pretty nice, some are just bizarre. And so I think, you know, again, we want this to look nice, this whole package come together. But so again, I feel that we've covered that with the prior motion. And then I think everyone can give their input to Brandon and Gina, and I think they'll balance that out.
I agree. So item 17, clarification on Clear Channel contract regarding sponsorships. Paula.
Is Thaddeus still online?
Tim is on, or Tim was on. Thaddeus, I think, was traveling.
Okay.
Tim, are you still on? Was there?
So perhaps.
Hello.
Hi.
This is Thaddeus. I'm here.
Hi, Thaddeus. So.
Hi, Paula.
Perhaps Stacy can guide us with this as well. When I look at the Clear Channel contract, I don't see a differentiation between, like I see it, 34%, or the commission that we pay to Clear Channel for advertising. I don't see a differentiation between sponsorship. And I know when I was on the call with you, Sean, and Clear Channel, there was a mention of a local bank that might be interested in helping with art. And so if Clear Channel is doing a RFP, we're reaching out to those entities, how is that compensation look like, or that
It's the same as what's in the contract, I guess.
so for instance, if a bank were to donate $60,000 for art, then only 20,000 would really go towards art, and 40 would go to Clear Channel.
That's why I read the contract.
Hi, this is Tim from Clear Channel. I'm sorry, I'm in a very noisy airport here, but listening in on the conversation.
So the terms of the contract would apply. So under the scenario that you've given, that would be the difference between the funds. And one of the things when I saw this on the agenda, and Thad, you can jump in. I read through the contract probably for the 20th time now, and sponsorship, that word isn't listed, but Thad, you can help me here. Clear Channel has done sponsored events or advertising here. And I think if you go and look at some of the other materials, that the word term sponsorship would fall under the definition of advertising. So that is a muddy answer.
That is certainly our view. And Paula, I will be intending by month of June to come to you with a presentation of the sorts of things we would do, and then work in conjunction with the airport to find companies that might be interested in the 6 sponsorship ideas that Mead and Hunt has come up with, presumably with your body.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I would just say, are you open to renegotiating your contract?
I guess that catches me. What would that entail? Renegotiate the contract? What would you hope to gain through renegotiating? I guess I'm trained to never say no, but certainly we have a legal and binding contract in place, but we want to be good partners. If you want to have a discussion with us, we're always happy to have a discussion.
Well, I think it's not clear about sponsorship. So that's one of the issues. We need to have that clear. I think the what we're paying, the 2/3, 1/3, I think there's concern about that. I think as we just in the earlier motion, we talked about sponsorships, we talked about advertising. That's kind of an expanded role for who's going to be our partner on advertising, and we want them to do that role. So I guess that's, from my perspective, I'd like you to, we'd like to have clarity on that.
New space also.
What's that?
New space.
Yeah, I mean, we've got new space, and we want to have maximum impact. And I think there's been a lot of discussion about how we generate more revenue, how we highlight local businesses and local opportunities. And so I think we're looking for a active partner in our advertising, we'd like that to be Clear Channel, but we have to be able to, be clear on what our responsibilities are and what we need this person to do.
So would you please explain a little further, so regarding motion 15, in regard to having someone oversee the artwork, the advertising, and sponsorship, aside from the artwork portion, how in your mind does what you're looking to put an RFP out for differ from what Clear Channel is already providing?
No, I think it's similar.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're reading in the agenda is not necessarily clear in terms of what we need, but we need, we need advertising in the baggage area. We need advertising on the screens in the new space. We need someone to coordinate sponsorships where they can, and part of that is coordinating with the art. And so, Mead and Hunt is doing that right now. And I think, when this project's over, we want a partner that's going to monitor those things going forward. Do those things.
I just to jump in here, we can offer, as we're putting the scope of work together, Thaddeus, we can reach out to you and just kind of coordinate so we're not over, duplicating efforts.
Okay.
I think it's an oversight from what I understand is we would be providing oversight, coordinating all of it. But we could talk through that in further detail just to make sure that we're not duplicating effort.
That sounds great, Brandon. Yeah, we can connect and but I just want to, since I have the board in all present, I just want a clarification. Are you hoping an advertising concessionaire would also manage the artwork program in the airport? Is that the desire?
Well, we're going to need someone to manage it. I'm not sure who.
Okay.
So that could come under different umbrellas, but so one of my concerns would be if a local sponsor were to step up and say, we want to help make sure that the airport gets some art, right? And so if a business or an entity in town were to say, we want to help, we want to donate some money or put some money forward to help procure art or help rotate art or whatever that may look like, Brandon, that the 2/3 of that sponsorship donation wouldn't go to Clear Channel instead of to art, because I think that would be a huge stumbling block for any potential sponsor. Yeah. Just to have a little placard next to the piece of art saying this artwork was sponsored by such and such entity and it's a local artist and this is what it signifies. To have 2/3 of that go to Clear Channel seems like it's going to be a huge stumbling block for us to get sponsorship.
It's not going to happen.
So it seems like we should probably clarify how that kind of arrangement would work. Like, let's just go with the artwork example. I guess my assumption would be artwork would already exist. And if artwork exists and we wanted someone to sponsor it, it is someone to have their name and brand associated with the artwork, the existing artwork program in the airport, versus they would be a sponsor and then they would go out and procure the artwork and that sort of thing. Is that what you're expecting would happen?
So we currently don't have any artwork. We have a rotating display by a local artworks entity, but we haven't procured art of our own. Mm-hmm. For instance, like Sioux Falls has art, and so that's my confusion. And as we go forward, I just wanted clarification.
Well, Mr. Chairman, too, we're really in the weeds here, and this is kind of thrown on top of you. And so I guess what I'd like us to do is to put together what our expectations would be of Clear Channel. So as if we were going to do an RFP, I think if we put like that kind of RFP together, but our expectations of Clear Channel, I think if we could put that together, then you could respond to that. Would that be helpful?
Yeah, that would be wonderful. That would, yeah, establish clarity.
So I would, Mr. Chairman, I would move that we put I'll call it an RFP because I think we know what that means, together for Clear Channel on the roles we'd like them to play.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
I guess I'm not understanding that
Okay.
motion since we already do have a contract with Clear Channel.
We're going to renegotiate the contract.
I didn't hear that part.
So, I mean, I just think, and Clear Channel can say, no, you've got a contract, and we can have all kinds of stuff going on. But I think what I'd like to do is, times have changed and things are different. We have this huge expansion. I think it'd be helpful for us to put a list of things that we would like them to do, and then let them respond.
Okay. Motion been made and seconded.
Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion? John?
Stacy, the contract, like you said, is a little vague. As I looked at it, I didn't see that anybody anticipated a doubling of the size of the terminal and how that plays into that contract. You know, we extended 10 years. We probably should have at that point said, let's extend it to right, you know, when we're going to have the new terminal, but we didn't do that. And so what are our options available as we look at the renegotiation or live with what we've got or whatever?
I mean, the four corners of the document, it doesn't define space.
Right.
We do have that exhibit that identifies specific assigned spaces, but then that we have the exclusivity provision to Clear Channel in the airport building. So
I just, Mr. Chairman, and Tim.
Excuse me, just a minute. Somebody up there, shut your mics off. You're getting a lot of feedback from other people in the background. So if you have your mic on, turn them off. Tell you want to speak. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I've been in a lot of contracts with a lot of people over the years, and I don't think there's really anyone that wants the other party to feel trapped into a contract. So I think this is where we can approach this rather from a legal standpoint, approach this. If we want them to be a good partner for the next 10 years, so how can we do that? And if we mutually agree to something, we maybe end up with a new contract rather than a battle. So that was the purpose of the motion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I personally don't like the 1/3, 2/3 thing. They're making a lot off of us. Okay.
Falls is 50/50, and the Sanford one specifically, and you've had a copy of the contract, is 63% goes to their Clear Channel partner and 36% to the airport, just specifically on the Sanford display.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
So who's going to put
Sean?
together? Who's going to put together the things that you want to change?
Well, I think you guys should. I mean, I would talk to. I mean, again, what I've heard is, well, I mean, we can talk afterwards. But yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear on what people want someone to manage to do. And, you know, I think I would approach it like if we were just starting fresh, what would we want our advertising partner to do?
I think Stacy should probably be involved in that too then.
Well, I think I'm not worried about the legal stuff right now. I think we just say, here's the roles we like our partner to play. And Clear Channel open into doing that.
So did everybody read their
Sure did.
sponsorship deal? You were part of the presentation they gave, so this is what they do, the sponsorships. But,
well, let's have them do it then.
Okay.
I move we adjourn.
Just a minute. Before we adjourn, I want to remind. I want to remind everybody that agenda items be submitted to the airport staff by noon on the Thursday prior to the meeting. So.
preliminary grant award from the Aeronautics Commission is $3,952. And watch your emails. Congressman Armstrong may want to meet with us on Monday, June 3rd. Not sure the time yet.
Say that again?
So Congressman Armstrong may want to meet with us on Monday, June 3rd, in the boardroom, since he was coming to the original, the second groundbreaking. So staff said he has time.
Prior to the
No, the groundbreaking's on
groundbreaking?
July 1st now, but,
Oh, no, that groundbreaking is done, isn't
July
it?
1st. So Monday, June 3rd, sometime, I'm not sure, Mary will get in touch with me what time's gonna work.
And the new groundbreaking ceremony is July 1 at 10 o'clock. Should try to say I can't be there, but I'll make it work. 'Cause I have a county commission meeting, same time, same day, same time. Okay. Motion adjourned?
I'll move.
Second?